Big Finish is a really fun area of Doctor Who to get into. It's like taking your favorite parts of the Doctor Who world and having them expanded in audio. So I'm super excited to give you a beginner's guide because it is overwhelming. There's over 20 years worth of audios from Big Finish that you can choose from today on My Love for Doctor Who. Hey guys, welcome to My Love for Doctor Who. My name is Alex Patterson and Hannah has asked me to come on the channel to give you guys a beginner's guide to Big Finish. I run the Doctor Who Guide YouTube channel, so definitely check that out if you like what you see today. If you don't know, Big Finish is an audio company that's been making Doctor Who audiobooks since 1999. The thing that makes Big Finish special is that they've gotten actual actors from the TV show, doctors, companions, so many, you name it, Big Finish has probably got them back in some form or another, and they bring them and get them to record audio-only dramas that they're not audiobooks that are like read with a narrator most of the time. It's like audio original stories that are written for your Doctor Who listening enjoyment. So this is my Big Finish collection on CD. It's just literally the one CD. So while my CD collection is very small, you're in luck because my download collection is very large. I have about 300 Big Finish audios, so I'm super excited to share with you some pointers. First off, it doesn't matter what Big Finish audio you want to get if you can't afford it. So I'm going to give you some quick tips on getting Big Finish at the cheapest price. Sorry about the noise in the background. You gotta keep going sometimes. If you go to bigfinish.com and press the ranges button, it will show you different categories of audiobooks that Big Finish has to offer, and many of those are Doctor Who categories. So I highly recommend checking out the Big Finish for free category, the Big Finish for a $5 category, and the Big Finish bargains category, because that'll allow you to see what stories are free. Sometimes part of a story is free and you can get a feel for what that's like. And if you want to get a deal, the best time to check in is Fridays. Fridays are the best day to check out the bigfinish.com website because that's when they generally have sales, either for the weekend or sometimes for the week. Another great time to check in for Big Finish sales and save some money is during actors' birthdays or times when, say, Doctor Who is on. Those would be good days to check out the bigfinish.com website for sales. So in this video, I'm going to be giving like specific suggestions. Instead, I'm going to be giving you an overview of the different areas of Doctor Who audios and ranges in the Big Finish world for each Doctor and sort of ideal starting points. From there, I want you to check out this website. Seriously, if you take one piece of information away from this video, let it be this: thetimescales.com. Go to thetimescales.com. They've got a database of, most importantly, all of the Doctor Who Big Finish audios as well as episodes, and they have a bunch of people who have ranked and rated these Doctor Who audios and given reviews which you can read at your own spoiler risk, and most importantly, it tells you if an audio has any required listening. I will comment links down below to each Doctor's Big Finish audios page so that you can see the different ranges, the different audios with that Doctor, and what they are rated. If it's a 9.4 or a 7.8, seriously, that is the place to go. So for the first 4 Doctors, a lot of their stories are told from the point of view of the companions. A, because the first 3 Doctors, the actors who played them, are sadly no longer with us. Sometimes the Doctors will be voiced by companions, or sometimes they have a professional voice impressionist and actor take on the role of a Doctor. So for the first 4 Doctors, a lot of their stories are in the range called the Companion Chronicles. Now these are the more typical, narrated by 1 or 2 actors, versus many of the rest of the Big Finish audios, which are like full cast audios with a bunch of actors in them. So with Companion Chronicles, it's going to feel a little bit more like a traditional audiobook. With the first 8 seasons, you can basically pick and choose a Doctor, and I would suggest listening to the audios for that Doctor in order. A great jumping on point for the Companion Chronicles for the first Doctor is Series 9, which is the first Doctor Volume 1. It's 4 stories. I really enjoyed this set. And if it's on sale, or if you want to put out the money for it, it's a really great jumping on point, as is Season 11, which is the first Doctor Adventures Volume 2. There are also short trips, which are like 25-minute short stories that are put in audio form, and those are very cheap, so those are nice to either get in a bundle or just pick and choose from and just get a nice little taste of Big Finish. You can also check out the first Doctor Adventures Volume 1. I believe there is also Volume 2 out, and Volume 3 is coming soon. Now with the Companion Chronicles, you've got the original actors of the companions from the TV series. The actor who played Ian Chesterton, so William Russell, and then Carole Ann Ford, who played Susan. They're back and in those roles. But for the first Doctor Adventures Volume 1, you have David Bradley, who played the first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time, and also William Hartnell in An Adventure in Space and Time, and he's taken on the role of the Doctor, and they have other actors playing Ian, Barbara, and Susan. So just be aware there that you're not getting the original actors of the show, but you are getting a great jumping on point. A third and final point that I would suggest for the first Doctor are the early adventures. Now this was a series of 4 audios that come out yearly, and they generally take a look at 4 different sections of a Doctor's era, generally with different companions and stuff. So for the first Doctor you might get like a season 1 story, and then a season 2 story, and like maybe 2 season 3 stories. Again, if you can afford those, definitely check them out. Next up is the second Doctor. Now I definitely suggest checking out the second Doctor's Companion Chronicles. Again, pick from seasons 1 to 8 and listen to them in order for the second Doctor. That's a good idea. What we have for the second Doctor is very similar. Seasons 10 of the Companion Chronicles is a box set of 4 stories, and I definitely suggest checking that one out. I really enjoyed it, as well as season 12, which looks absolutely fascinating and even includes some other companions and actors from the 8th Doctor's time as well as the 4th Doctor's time. So that looks like a very cool box set to check out. You can also check out seasons 2 and 4 of the early adventures. They contain second Doctor stories, as well as some of the latest second Doctor short trips. I think those would be the really great places to start with, and really simple jumping on points. Destiny of the Doctor is a box set that goes through it's 11 stories with all 11 Doctors, and that's a great one to jump right into. You can get the set sometimes discounted, so that's really cool, and that's a fun, you've got a mix of some good stories and some bad stories. I think the second Doctor story in that set is quite good. So yeah, that's the second Doctor. Next up, we'll be going into the third Doctor collected, and the third Doctor, he's probably the Big Finish Doctor who has the least amount of audio, so it's going to be simpler to jump into. Obviously, there are the short trips that you can check out in that range. There's also the short trips rarities range, which they used to be subscriber-only specials. You had to subscribe to 12 Big Finish main range audios, which we'll get into later, and you would get these special short trips if you had a subscription with this particular audio. And now they're just re-releasing them out to a wider audience to give them sort of new life and new sales. So I definitely suggest checking out the rarities range. They're not any more expensive. For the third Doctor, you have the Third Doctor Adventures, and you've got volumes 1 to 4 of that, so plenty to dive into. Now that does have Tim Treloar starring as the third Doctor, as well as Katie Manning, so that's quite exciting to have Jo Grant back, and you can check out any of those adventures, as well as Destiny, the Doctor, and short trips. I really think that's where you're going to get the best with the third Doctor. Light at the End is one that you'll see that has Doctors 1 to 8. Really, it's mostly Doctors 4 to 8 that are featured heavily in this story. It's basically Big Finish's 50th anniversary. There's also the Lost Stories. I really enjoyed the Mega, which is a story with the third Doctor, and they're called Lost Stories because they take stories that never saw the light of day, that were made back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and just never made it into production, and they either will write scripts for them or flesh out those scripts and update them and put them out on audio. So I definitely suggest checking out the Mega as well. The Lost Stories range also features prominently for the first and second Doctors, so those can be fun to dive into if you want stories that really do sound like they're from the era of the first Doctor or the second Doctor, or even the third or sixth Doctor. The Lost Stories range will give you more of the same that you saw on television. Other ranges of Big Finish will update and make Doctor Who even better than what it was in the classic series, I think, most of the time. However, the Lost Stories, because they were written still in that era, they have a much more, I think, a natural feel to them. So I would definitely, if you like the Sixth Doctor, for instance, listen to his Lost Stories. If you didn't enjoy the Sixth Doctor's TV and you're hoping for Big Finish to do better things, well then there are other areas such as the main range that will absolutely do that for you. Okay, so now we're going to go into the Fourth Doctor. Now the Fourth Doctor is different. While there are short trips rarities, short trips, and companion chronicles with the Fourth Doctor, as well as Lost Stories, which we covered, see, you're becoming an expert already. The Fourth Doctor actually has his own series, which is incredible because not only does he have a ton of Doctor Who episodes, he also gets a ton of Big Finish stories, and I absolutely love the Fourth Doctor Adventures. So there are 7 series, I believe now, of Fourth Doctor Adventures. So you can really start out with any season. They're going to have their own jumping on points, and you can just... I would suggest, buying them in bundles per season. I think that's going to be the cheapest. But if you do happen to see a sale and want to pick, sort of random ones, I don't think you will run into any problems just picking out random ones from the Fourth Doctor Adventures. I really think there's not a lot of danger of missing out on a storyline. They're not like new series arcs where you've got stories and spoilers and stuff. They're pretty standalone episodes. Sometimes there are 2-parters, but that should be pretty clear. So for the Fourth Doctor, I love the first season. I believe has Leela in it. The second season has Romana the First. The third and fourth seasons have Leela in them. The fifth and sixth seasons have Romana the Second in them. So I would definitely suggest picking a series with a companion you like and, buying that entire series and listening to them. I absolutely love the Fourth Doctor Adventures. I really don't think you can go wrong. There's the Philip Hinchcliffe Presents box sets. They do tend to be more expensive, but they are sort of standalone stories. There's either 1 or 2 stories in that set, and I believe they bring Philip Hinchcliffe back to direct or consult on these stories, and they are based in the Philip Hinchcliffe era. There's the Classic Doctors New Monsters box sets, which are fun because they take Classic Doctors and new series monsters and combine them, and those generally have the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Doctors, as well as the 7th Doctor. So you can get Classic Doctors New Monsters Volume 2. Now we're getting into the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors, and really what I'm going to cover is going to apply to all of them. So for the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors, and also the 8th Doctor, there was this wonderful range of Big Finish audios called Big Finish Monthly, or the Big Finish Main Range, and they started releasing monthly audios with either the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th Doctors back in 1999, July of 1999, and they have been going since. So this range is over 250 stories long, which is incredible. And so that's where you're going to find the most expansion upon the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctors. And what's lovely about this is that the first 100 audios now are on download, a reduced price, as well as on CD. Now the first 50 aren't available on CD anymore. They used to be available, but now they're essentially out of print. Big Finish is no longer making those audios, so you can get the downloads for really cheap, and that's what I love. You can get really cheap bundles for the first 50 and now first 100. So that's definitely a place to experiment. Look at what looks good to you. I always suggest listening to a certain Doctor in order. As you look later in the monthly range, you'll see certain trilogies, and generally the pattern starts with 3 5th Doctor stories, and then 3 6th Doctor stories, 3 7th Doctor stories, and then you might see a 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctor story. That's a trilogy. The 5th Doctor has a ton of main range audios, so definitely look through those, see if there are any in the 1 in 100 range that you want to get. Those are going to be the cheapest. There are also Short Trips and Short Trips Rarities, the Destiny of the Doctor collection, as well as the Classic Doctors New Monsters box set with the 5th Doctor, so definitely consider checking out some of those. The 6th Doctor is pretty much the same story. It's all the main range audios. The cheapest are 1 to 100. You can check those out. You can just check out which ones look good to you and then double check with thetimescales.com to see if there are any audios you need to listen to prior. You get, again, Short Trips. You've got main range audios. It's very cool to see the new companions that they've paired up with the 6th Doctor and just stretched his time out so much. I really enjoyed Whispers of Terror. I think that's a really great example of what can be done with Doctor Who in this new audio realm. There's the Lost Stories range. There are quite a few 6th Doctor Lost Stories, and again, if you like the TV series, you will love this because it's more of the 6th Doctor era from the TV series. So that's where I would say, definitely check that out. There are the Short Trips original series range, volumes 1 to 4, and those contain 8 stories from each of the first 8 Doctors, so you can check those out because they're pretty cheap and you get 8 stories. So that's the 6th Doctor. The Seventh Doctor is another great example of how Big Finish can expand a Doctor that's not necessarily the most popular of the classic series, and I absolutely love that because the Seventh Doctor is so cool. Now, I've heard a lot of great things about like the Fearmonger and stories like that, so that's an exciting one. Again, just look through the Seventh Doctor ones. Now, especially I think with the Seventh Doctor, listening to them in order from the early 1 to 100 range and beyond is really important for the main range. There are a lot of story arcs that happen with the Seventh Doctor especially that you're going to want to listen to in a particular order. And again, I'll be relying on any Big Finish experts in the comments to let us know the best stories to check out and whether or not there are story arcs that people should be paying attention to. There's also the Seventh Doctor New Adventures Volume 1, which is coming out, and they are based off of the Seventh Doctor novels that came out in the 90s called the Doctor Who New Adventures, and it's 4 stories, and that's going to be an exciting thing to see these characters that were in books being given new life in Big Finish, so that's really cool. Again, short trips that you can check out. Now, what I'm very excited about is Doctor Who The Legacy of Time. It's coming out in July of 2019, and it's a great time between now and then to, get into Big Finish, because this is really going to be a massive celebration of everything that Big Finish has to offer the Doctor Who world. There's going to be a ton of crossovers with various series, so I'm very excited about that. Now we're going to dive into the 8th Doctor, who is by far the Doctor I think that has been improved upon the most, simply because we've only had the movie and the Night of the Doctor mini episode. So what Big Finish has done with the 8th Doctor is spectacular. There are a couple areas for the 8th Doctor. First off, from the 1 to 100 range, the main range audios, there are series of 4 audios sort of back to back, mostly for the 8th Doctor, that you can check out. I highly suggest, Storm Warning is a great jumping on point. There is a story arc there, especially with that companion, so I suggest listening mostly in order, and definitely the later you get into the 8th Doctor's main range stories, the more I would say you need to listen in order. If you can get the 8th Doctor Adventures, there are 4 series of 8th Doctor audios, and they are incredible. I think it's the perfect meld of the classic series and the new series, and Blood of the Daleks is the first 2-parter, and I highly suggest getting it. The companion is like a cross between Rose and Donna, which for me makes the most epic companion ever, and I absolutely love it. The first series, you can pick and choose a little bit more. Listen to Blood of the Daleks, that's a 2-parter, listen to the finale of each season at the very least, and same with season 2, you can still sort of pick and choose. With season 3, you should start listening to it in order, and absolutely season 4, you should definitely listen to it in order. There is hardly a bad story in season 4, and in my opinion also in season 3. The 8th Doctor Adventures are just so much fun. I love them. I love the format. It's incredible. I just can't rave about them enough. I especially love series 3 as well as series 4, so definitely get that. Now, I believe you should listen to An Earthly Child, which is a sort of standalone audio right before Relative Dimensions. That's a little tip for you there. Next up for the 8th Doctor, though, which you should definitely also is a brilliant jumping on point, is the Dark Eye series. Now, after the 8th Doctor went from the main range and then into the 8th Doctor Adventures, and those stories had their time, what they did next was the Dark Eye series, which is a series of 4 box sets, 4 stories each, and if you can get them on sale, or, shell out the money for them, the very first box set of each series is a brilliant jumping on point. It's either got like a new companion or just a new storyline. They've crafted it to make sure that if you start with Dark Eyes 1, or the next series, which was Doom Coalition, or the next series, which is Ravenous, or the next series, which is the Time War, that you will be able to just jump on and enjoy the series. Now, I will say, Doom Coalition is a great jumping on point, and then Ravenous, I think, has some companions from Doom Coalition. They have accounted for that, but I would say it's best to try and start with Doom Coalition. So yeah, Dark Eyes is a great place to start. That's 4 box sets. You can also check out Doom Coalition. The 8th Doctor makes a couple appearances in the Diary of River Song Series 1, so that's a great starting point into a spin-off series that Big Finish has done. He's also in the Classic Doctor's New Monsters box set. There are some short trips with him. There's the 8th Doctor, The Time War, which you can jump on. That's another series of box sets, as well as Doctor Who Ravenous 1. So that's another series that started. I think Ravenous 2 is out. I see that here. So as you can tell, I really love the 8th Doctor, and I know the most about him. So I would be happy to answer more of your questions about recommendations in the comments down below. Spoilers for the next category if you haven't seen Name of the Doctor from the Series 7 or Day of the Doctor, the special in between Series 7 and Series 8. So the next Doctor that we'll be looking at is, of course, the War Doctor. Now, Big Finish did manage to record a series of 4 Doctor Who box sets with John Hurt before his passing, which is amazing that we have these audios with him as the Doctor, because they're just some of the most precious things now that he's gone. So there are 4 box sets. The first one is the best place to start. Again, if you can get it on sale, that's great. Or if you want to shell out the money, it's really cool to see the Doctor during the Time War. So that's pretty awesome. Next up is the 9th Doctor. Now, obviously, Christopher Eccleston hasn't been back to do any Big Finish audios yet. However, Nicholas Briggs does an incredible impression of the 9th Doctor. Honestly, it's incredible. So, a couple jumping on points. The Destiny of the Doctor series, which applies for all the Doctors up until 1 to 11. Night of the Whisper is a brilliant story from them. Honestly, so emotional. I loved it. There's also the Churchill Years Volume 1 spin-off, but the 9th Doctor isn't really a character in it. He's like mentioned, but I don't think he's even acted by Nicholas Briggs in that story. But that's a spin-off series that has like the 9th, 10th, and 11th Doctors in it. It's sort of Churchill having adventures within there, but they're not really written in a way that requires actors to be there. So anyway, the 9th Doctor Chronicles is probably the best place to get your 9th Doctor fix. You can just dive in. It's sort of a box set, and that's all it is. Next up would be the 10th Doctor, and the 10th Doctor has a little bit more than the 9th and 11th Doctors, because he actually gets 2 seasons of his own series. So first off, you can get Death Steal, which is part of the Destiny of the Doctor. That's a 10th Doctor story from that. The Churchill Years, as we have mentioned before. And then there's the 10th Doctor Adventures Season 1, which is 3 stories. You can get like the limited edition on download, and then there are the 10th Doctor Adventures on download and CD as well. They feature David Tennant and Donna Noble, Catherine Tate as Donna Noble, back. That incredible Series 4 duo is back, and that's so cool. So that's sort of a standalone. You can jump into that and enjoy it. The 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 2 has Billie Piper back as Rose Tyler, and it's again the 10th Doctor, and you can just dive into that series and go back in your minds to 2006. There's also the 10th Doctor Chronicles, where Jacob Dudman, the incredible YouTuber, does an impression of David Tennant, which is phenomenal. He really does an amazing job. There are 2 short trips of the 10th Doctor as a character, but they're told from the point of view of Jackie Tyler, if I can talk in a non-weird way. So Camille Cordy is back to do those audios, so that's pretty cool. For the 11th Doctor, again, The Time Machine, the penultimate episode of Destiny of the Doctor. That's a way to get some of the 11th Doctor. Again, that doesn't have Matt Smith doing the voice. I don't think any audios have been recorded with Matt Smith doing the Doctor. However, Jacob Dudman does the 11th Doctor Chronicles, and he does not only an incredible David Tennant impression, but an incredible Matt Smith impression. I know. Believe it or not, he actually does an incredible job of both. The Churchill Years Volume 2 also has the 11th Doctor as a character in it. You get him in the Jago and Lightfoot Revival, Act 1 and Act 2. That's a great one for Jago and Lightfoot fans, as well as 10th and 11th Doctor fans. That will give you a good idea of where to start with the 11th Doctor. With the War, 9th, 10th, and 11th Doctors, there's not a lot to pick from, and there's not a lot that requires listening to another audio in order to understand what's going on. So that's pretty cool. We've covered quite a lot. However, there are a lot of spin-off ranges that Big Finish has massively improved upon. There's a Torchwood spin-off series of audios with a ton of the actors from Torchwood, including the incredible John Barrowman. There's Jago and Lightfoot, 2 characters from the Towns of Weng-Chiang who got 12 series of audios. They're incredible. Start with actually the companion chronicle, The Mahogany Murders. That's a pilot. That ties in with Series 1 of Jago and Lightfoot, which you should listen all the way through in order, and you will get some great linking with the Mahogany Murders Companion Chronicle and Series 1. And then listen through, the rest of Series 2 to 12 if you enjoy that. I absolutely love Jago and Lightfoot. So many people enjoy it, Gallifrey is another incredible series, picks up with Romana II's timeline as well as Leela, and I believe Ace might make some appearances. It's about Gallifrey and just, yeah, I mean, what else do you need to know? There's the I, Davros range, which is incredibly successful, not very long, so you can just listen to the 4 or 5 audios from that series. There's some Sarah Jane Smith audios, Diary of Riversong. There's The War Master with Derek Jacobi as the Master. There's Unit, the new series, which has Gemma Redgrave as Kate Stewart and Ingrid Oliver as Osgood, so that is pretty cool. They're doing some really cool stuff with that. You can listen to the first series of Unit, which is a great place to start. I haven't listened to the series, but it looks like they do some really awesome stuff. As I said, the timescales.com is a brilliant website to check out for reviews and ratings from not just one person like me, but really a ton of people who have gone and shared their opinions. And if you haven't yet, I highly suggest going there and ranking stories, giving reviews, helping that website become even more of an incredible resource. Comment down below with your recommendations for Big Finish audios to listen to and where to start with Big Finish. Make sure you subscribe to this incredible YouTube channel, My Love for Doctor Who, for more great Doctor Who content. My name is Alex Patterson, and if you liked what you saw today, you can check out my YouTube channel, The Doctor Who Guide. Thank you so much for watching, and Hannah, we'll see you in the next video. Bye!